Okay, are we good to go? Hey. Hello, is this Elizabeth?
There we
Hi,
are.
welcome. We just completed introduction, so tell us your name, tell us your program, tell us your year, all that good stuff.
Awesome. My name is Lizbeth. I am studying health communications here at Davidson, and I'm a junior.
Excellent, nice to meet you. All right, so it's gonna have to happen in 2 days. Slide you guys over there, and then front of me, yeah. All right, can everyone see the presentation?
Mhm. Yes.
Great. Just minimize that because my face is not to the left. Oh, just put that there. All right, here we go. So this is the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill, Gillings School of Global Public Health. All right, so this is going to go in a few phases. The first phase is going to be the introduction to the Gillings School, followed by an overview, our MPH, other departmental degrees, as well as other information, and then we'll conclude today with questions. So to give you all a little bit of background, we are actually under the leadership of Jonathan Ernest, who is our Director of Admissions. He currently holds a BS in Business Administration, an MA in Rehab and Mental Health Counseling, and he's also studying for his doctoral degree in Higher Education Leadership with research interests in resource allocation, access, and success related policy and student mental health at, I believe, the University of North Carolina at Wilmington. So here's a bit of an overview on Gillings and some quick facts for you. So we are in fact the #1 public health school in the country and #2 overall, and that is including public and private. We have a student enrollment of around 2,250 students. With that in mind, it's about 48 different countries represented within our Gillings population. Some strategic initiatives are cancer research, global health research, health disparities, obesity, as well as water. We work with all 100 counties within the state of North Carolina, and we also, our graduates work within more than 80 countries within the world. Some other fast facts about the research here at Gillings: we generated over $1 billion since 2016 within our research, which is tops in the country, or is very high up in the country. I'd say top 5, I believe. We are #1 in NIH ranking for top public school of public health for NIH funding. And here global is local. So we do conduct research, education, and/or practice in all 100 counties in North Carolina, 47 countries, and 5 continents. So there are a couple things that the things that make Gillings who we are. #1 is inclusive excellence. We are committed to a diverse, inclusive, and welcoming community with policy supporting that goal. Inclusive excellence is central to our teaching, research, practice, and service. Our faculty members are highly successful research powerhouse, and they're passionate about solving the world's greatest public health threats. Their average of 1.16 million per PI last year created a lot of student opportunities. Usually this results in ways of potentially funding or other type of opportunities. This is at a core of what we do. We serve local and global communities, engaging with partners through students, practice, service, learning trips, community-based research, and practice collaborations. We work in all 100 counties in more than 45 countries, giving students a wealth of opportunity to study, grow, and solve big public health problems and gain crucial experience. This is actually very unique because this all folds into our curriculum, which is our practicum, which is an experience that is built into your curriculum. So you'll have that opportunity to work in a particular county within the state of North Carolina, should you want to choose or move forward with that opportunity. Gillings faculty and staff and students study, research, and act upon help to serve urgent public health problems. Big problems require big solutions. We're finding ways to prevent cancer, reduce health disparities, improve water quality and access, prevent obesity in children, and create practical, cost-effective solutions to improving health policy. We focus also on the community. We work with communities in our research, teaching, and outreach to address community health problems, as well as constructive action. We collaborate and engage beyond programs and departments to produce results within the field. So let's talk a little bit about the degrees offered here at Gillings. So we offer the undergraduate degree, which is a bachelor's, it's a BSPH. We also have a master's of public health, which is our MPH. We also have other master's degrees such as an MHA, a master of science, a master of science in clinical research, a master of science in environmental engineering, as well as a master of science in public health. We also have a master's to doctoral track, as well as doctoral programs, either a DRPH or a PhD within the respective degree program. So here are a few of our academic departments. Right here, these are the departments that help comprise our MPH, as well as some of our MS degrees and our doctoral level degrees. And here is a quick slide to learn a little bit more about us. We have drop-in opportunities that we do every Friday. You can visit us at the website listed below at sph.unc.edu/students and visit us. This highlights all of our virtual events that we'll be having. Also, it will serve as to inform of events that I will be attending and performing some recruiting efforts. So if you do have any more questions and you want to just drop in, please come visit us, check in our drop-out hours. All right. Moving forward, let's talk a little bit about our Master of Public Health. So within our MPH, we feature 12, technically it's 13 concentrations, but we lump nutrition and nutrition dietetics into one because they're both housed within the same department, but we have 12 concentrations within the MPH. One thing that's great about us is when you apply, you actually have the opportunity to apply to 2 of these concentrations with one singular application through SOFIS. See SOFIS is like our common app for the Masters of Public Health programs across the country. We are the only ones that allow you to apply to 2 concentrations with one application versus the majority of our competitors only allow you to pick one. One key item to note, when you are going to participate in the application process, you will need to actually speak to both of those concentrations within your essay. Now, you are allowed to prioritize one concentration over the other. So if you do have multiple interests, use that opportunity to apply to them both. And here's another slide on how the program is overall constructed. With the MPH having 13 concentrations, they have developed the MPH-4, which is worth 12 credits. And then you have concentration courses, which is 15 credits, your culminating experience or your practicum, which is 3 credits. And then you have your applied you have your culminating experience, which is 3 credits, then your applied practicum, which is another 3 credits. And then you have 9 elective credits that you can actually take other courses within the MPH. So if you had interest in applied epidemiology, but you're a health policy and management concentration major, then you will have the opportunity to take courses within that department as elective courses. So we feature a joint program with the University of North Carolina at Asheville. It is the UNCA-UNC joint MPH. Now this one's going to be focused more so on place-based health within Western North Carolina. Classes take place on Mayhick's Biltmore campus and is designed for working professionals. It is our place-based health concentration, and it's only 21 months long, so a little over a year and a half. All courses are taken together with extremely small cohorts, no more than 24 students. There is an emphasis within that particular program on hands-on skills and application in partnership with organizations. There also is an opportunity to apply for a $10,000 Mayhick scholarship opportunity if you're admitted into the program. Now, I've already mentioned this a little bit, but I'm going to take a little bit deeper dive into our MPH application. So the priority deadline to be considered for scholarship and funding opportunities is going to be December 12th, with the final deadline being February 13th. As I mentioned, the SOFIS application is where you're going to submit your application to the Gillings School. So it's $145 for the initial application fee, and then it's $55 for subsequent programs that you apply to outside of UNC. Also with UNC, it is a 2-step process, so you'll need to submit a supplemental application to the graduate school, which is a bit shorter, and you can use very much so the same information that you use within the SOFIS application, and it only has a fee of $95. Below, you'll see the components that you'll need to have whenever you submit your application. For the TOEFL exam, you need a minimum score of 90 to be considered. For the IELTS exam, you need a minimum score of 7. Also, keep in mind, programs may require a higher higher score than the minimum requirement of 90 for TOEFL or 7 for IELTS. Sorry about that. So let's talk about the Gillings departmental degrees. I'll kind of go through these kind of quick because you'll be able to kind of see, and they're pretty much self-explanatory and straightforward. So within biostats, the deadline for them is actually going to be November 28th. They offer a degree within a Master of Science as well as a PhD. Also, we have them in our MPH. The research is basically statistical methodology for biomedical sciences, applied research in public health, medical school, and external institutes. Also, keep in mind as we go through these different degrees and different departments, whenever you're applying, and sorry, I forgot to mention this, but whenever you're applying, please pay attention to the prerequisite courses that are required to be considered for admission. You will need to have those courses whenever you submit your application. Here's our Environmental Sciences and Engineering Department with a deadline for spring and admittance of October 10th of this year, and then for May 14th for 2024 fall. They offer an MS, an MSEE, and a PhD. Their focuses are going to be on air quality, human exposure, and sustainable water sources. Those are their 3 big pillars that they perform their research in. Epidemiology, with the doctoral programs due dates of January 9th, the master's of final deadline for the master's program of May 14th. They offer an MSCR and a PhD as well as the regular master's degree in epidemiology. As you can see, these are the research interests within the epidemiology department. I'll give you a second to look at that, and then we'll move over to health behavior. All right, health behavior, the deadline of November 28th. They offer degrees in the master, they have the only master's doctoral track, which is the MSPH to PhD. They also feature a PhD as well as one of our concentrations within the MPH. Their research focuses are as follows: community health, violence prevention, HIV/AIDS prevention and or control, health disparities reduction, health communication, obesity and diabetes management, tobacco control, and workplace health promotion.
Cornelius, quick question about the master's to doctoral.
Yes, ma'am.
So typically it's either a master's or a PhD. Is
Mhm.
the MSPH-PhD kind of something that you'll graduate with both of those degrees? Is that what
Correct.
you're? Okay.
Yes, ma'am. So you will graduate with a master's degree as well as a PhD.
Okay. So the other PhD just graduate with the PhD, not the master's too.
Correct.
Got it.
All right. So moving forward to health policy and management, for the doctoral program, the deadline is December 12th. Master's residential's last deadline is February 13th. And for the master's online, which we have 3 online, this is one of the 3 online programs, it is May 14th of 2024. They offer an MHA under the Health Policy and Management Department, an MSPH, a PhD, and a DRPH. The executive doctoral program is centered primarily for working adults who have 5 years of working experience post master's program completion. So that's a big thing to keep in mind. Their research is based around public health preparedness, healthcare costs, policies and trends, systemic influences on health disparities, rural health, as well as healthcare reform. Moving on to our maternal, child, and family health department. They have their degree is due date is November 28th of 2023. They offer a PhD as well as an MPH. Their research focus is going to be centered around reproductive and women's health, infant, child, and adolescent health, health inequities, as well as health economics. All right, nutrition. Their deadline is going to be January 9th, 2024. Nutrition department offers a Master's of Science, a PhD, as well as an MPH as well. Their research is centered around precision nutrition, diet, health and disease metabolism, diet-related behavior, nutrition policy, cancer, and immunology. They also hold a wing within our McGavin Greenberg Research Center to perform their research within the Department of Nutrition, as well as the epidemiology department has a lab as well. All right, So let's talk about the graduate application. So the deadlines are going to vary by program. Please go online to check and make sure that you can adhere to those deadlines, with December 12th being the priority, unless it's designated from the program itself. As I mentioned earlier, the components of the application of the UNC fee, you will need to submit a statement of purpose along with your resume and or CV, your transcripts, 3 letters of recommendation. We ask that they usually be, within this case, 2 academic and 1 professional, or depending if you actually have work experience, it can be 2 professional, 1 academic. But I see majority of you are going to not necessarily have the professional experience yet, so having 3 academic letters of recommendation is fine. Some programs may require interview or faculty match. Faculty match only comes to play for doctoral programs, and majority of our programs, you're actually not assigned a faculty match until your 2nd year. We allow your 1st year to kind of explore, take some core courses around your program so you can see the different type of research that the instructors are performing. Then from there, you'll have your faculty match that will basically follow you the rest of the way through completion. For international applicants, please submit a TOEFL or IELTS exam. It cannot be no older than 2 years old. Or if you have or if you can verify that your degree of instruction was in English from your host country, you'll just have to submit a waiver form, which you can find online through our graduate application. So we do have a few MPH dual degree partners if that is of interest for you. The time frame for the dual degree is usually less than completing separately. So essentially you'll complete them within 3 years instead of having to do 4 years for 1 degree, or 4 years total, 2 years being in another 1 degree, 2 years being in the other degree. So our dual degree partners are going to be the MSW, the Master of City Planning, or MCRP, the JD, which is a 4-year dual degree for the master's and the Juris Doctorate, or the PharmD, which is 5 years to complete. Both degrees are awarded at the same time once both requirements are filled. So for the dual degree, especially for the 3-year programs, essentially you'll do, say, Master of Social Work, for example, you'll do 1 year within the Master's of Social Work program, then you'll do 1 year within the MPH, with your final year being a mixture of them both, kind of culminating from the experiences gained from each program, and so on and so forth. Other dual degree partners, we have Health Policy and Management, with the MSPH and MHA. So we also partner with the MBA, with the School of Business, the MSIS for Information Science, and the MSLS, which is Master of Science and Library Science. And then we have Environmental Science and Engineering for MS and MSPH, and that is only paired with the MCRP, the Masters of City and Regional Planning. Now that we got all that important information out of the way, let's talk about a little bit of the student life we have here at Gillings. So here's a few examples of the different clubs and organizations that we have that live inside the Gillings School. In total, we have about 40 different organizations that are represented within Gillings through our Inclusive Excellence team, suite, committee. So if that is of interest to you, you're more than welcome to join. If there is a club or org that doesn't exist within Gillings, you're more than welcome to start that. And we also provide you with support to do that as well. For additional information, please visit our website. A lot of the information I present today is available on the website. You can email us at sph-admissions@unc.edu, or you can give us a call. And please feel free to follow us on all socials. And that will conclude the presentation.
Great. Well, I think we have some time for Q&A. So one question I had, just to kind of get us started, is can you speak to like recruiting efforts at Gillings? Like, is there a career services office that supports the various departments and helping students find not only internships, but opportunities for employment after graduation?
Yes, absolutely. So we do have a dedicated career services team that lives here within Gillings. They are headlined by Derek, Just, and Lydia. So Derek focuses on our alumni, so post-grad, and then Lydia actually focuses on current students within their current program. So we do have opportunities for them to connect with career services and do all the things with that team, which they're usually sending out updates, and also providing students with either workshops, headshot opportunities for professional experiences as well.
Okay. Hi, thank you so much for this really informative Zoom session.
Mhm.
Something that Ashling had stated kind of relates to what I wanted to ask. Do you know what percentage of students actually have like a full-time job after they have graduated from their programs?
So 99% of our students have either a job or they go on to further their degree within 1 year of graduating from Gillings.
Oh, awesome. And I know you did state it for one of the programs, I think it might have been the health policy one, but do you know the usual like length and type of experiences that a lot of successful applicants have before they apply to like other degree programs kind of related?
It sort of varies depending on what their career goals are. We see students that have come in with a lot of internship experience. We see some come in without any internship experience. So it kind of varies wildly between the two. If you have some internship experience, that's awesome. Please feel free to highlight that within your essay. If you don't necessarily have internship experience, that's not the end of the world, but I think it's also still a great opportunity to kind of tell your story on and explain your why if you're maybe coming from another degree or another program to where you weren't necessarily like looking to do internship experiences because you were invested within your previous major. I have a question here. It says from Owen, it says, if prerequisite courses will be fulfilled by the start of the program, are we still able to apply this cycle or do they need to be fulfilled now for this cycle? Great question, Owen. So if you are taking the prerequisite courses now, that's totally fine. You can still apply. They just need to be completed before you actually enroll. But let me phrase that. They need to be completed before you're actually able to be admitted. But you can apply while you're still in the process of completing them.
So just to clarify, like we could take them in the spring and still apply now? Is that
If you take them in the spring, it might be a little bit too late and you could miss the cycle. They require that you have to have those prerequisites to be able to help render an admission decision.
thank you.
Yeah, it would probably just depend on the program, because some of the programs have a fall deadline, which would be hard. If you do have questions though, Cornelius, like if I know Owen's particularly in biostats. So should he connect with someone in the biostats department, or would you like,
Yes, especially if it's like
what
super
do you
specific.
recommend with?
If it's super specific to biostats, I definitely want to connect you to someone within the department. If it's more like general questions, then I can pretty much handle those. But I can definitely connect you with someone within the biostats department if that's what you'd like to do.
Yeah, that'd be great. If you could. Thank you.
Okay, could we go over I guess kind of like opportunities for aid? Are there any full tuition scholarships? Are most kind of like partial or a certain percentage? And then also, is there any like housing assistance available for master's students?
So there is housing available on campus. Most of our master's students live off campus because A, it's abundance of it, and it's usually a little bit cheaper than living on campus. As far as getting into the finer details of financial aid, I do not discuss those. We actually have a dedicated financial aid and scholarship funding team led by Ms. Sarah Kitchens. Um, and she'd be able to give you more of a granular answer when it comes to financial aid and funding opportunities for our students. One thing that's great about us is we actually don't require a supplemental application to be considered for funding opportunities when you're applying. So once you apply and you've been admitted, you're going to be considered for a graduate assistantship, potentially a TA-ship, depending on your department, as well as availability, among other financial aid opportunities that does not necessarily come from ourselves here or at the admissions office or at the departmental level. We also have another additional site within Gillings. If you want to apply to either a positionship or a TA or other positions that are available on campus, you can go through that site as well.
And then also related to the practicums, are any of them done like internationally? And also, do you have any specific like companies or organizations you tend to kind of like match students with, like when they're looking for opportunities and stuff?
Gotcha. Yeah, it's dependent upon what your end career goal is going to be, but we do have connections with several different, either the state health department in Raleigh, You can either go to the CDC down in Atlanta, which we have a lot of connections and ties to, and it kind of varies across the board as we have connections basically across the United States as well as in other countries. So your practicum experience is only limited to more so your imaginations and potentially funding. That would probably be the biggest barriers, but I would say we have a very big and well-connected network that would be able to help produce a very good and a very strong practicum experience with you. And to kind of go a step further on that, it's a bit of like an 80-20 partnership when it comes to the practicum experience, as far as 20% you kind of telling us what you're looking to do within your practicum experience, with the other 80 kind of falling on us to be able to help put that experience together. So it's not necessarily just on you to kind of figure out what your practicum experience is going to be.
I know you mentioned internships just a little bit briefly, but are there any like common internships or things that most applicants have done for some sort of summer, just kind of trying to brainstorm summer internship experiences?
I don't necessarily say there's like a common internship that most of our students do, because they kind of do internships across the board in all places. So it's not necessarily like a singular common one that they all do, as it just kind of varies across the board, depending upon your degree, depending on your department. So it's kind of all over the place a little bit on that.
Yeah, Cornelius, is there a place on the Gillings website where you profile the different places your graduates land and post-graduation opportunities, or for those internship opportunities that Mickey's asking about?
Yes, hold on one second, and I'll be able to pull that up. All right, I'm going to drop it into the chat, because we actually do have a dedicated website for that, and I can find it right here. Everyone's meeting. If you follow this link here, it highlights fellowships and internships, and you can explore. It's also through our career services page as well. If you look at the bottom, it says select to see the list of internships, and that way you can kind of see what our students are doing.
Very nice.
Hi, thank you so much for the info session and taking your time to be here today. Just had a question on, like, would you say most of your graduate students are students a few years out of undergrad, or all are directly coming straight from undergrad?
So it's a good mix. We have some students, I would say it's definitely less than 30% that are coming back to school with some experience. So it kind of varies, but we're seeing overwhelmingly a majority of our students are coming straight out of undergrad, which is fine. But you do have some of those students that are 2-3 years removed. I actually just spoke to an individual today who's 30 years removed and looking to come back and doing their MPH degree. So there's a lot of experience across the board. It's not uncommon to see individuals who have 20+ years of work experience coming back to get an MPH. That's not uncommon. And so it does create a very dynamic environment to where you have individuals that have work experience that they can kind of speak towards, but then you also have younger individuals who don't have any experience at all, and they can kind of see how the information they're learning can be applied in real world application with someone who actually has experience within the field.
Okay, could you speak on whether there are kind of like any mental health resources? I think also perhaps the process for any students who might need to take more than the allotted time, but also kind of like just specifically about the mental health resources, especially I know like how UNC had the shooting the other day, and that might be like very traumatic for certain students. So kind of what goes on in that care process.
Absolutely. So there's a few things that kind of happen within that whole care process following, any type of event that is of extreme and or could be potentially traumatic to others. One thing's very unique about Gillings is we actually have in-house counseling services. So we have an extension of CAPS that is built and embedded into the Gillings school that is full-time. So you're able to book appointments through that particular individual, or if you need to, if you want to, you can get services on, which is still the main campus, but you can still get services outside of the Gillings School. But we do have a dedicated counselor embedded within the Gillings School to be able to serve in events such as the ones that previously just happened. So we take mental health very serious here. if this is any comfort, following those recent events, we immediately included a mental health day for our students to allow them to take care of themselves, as well as we had an array of support services across the campus, as well as within the Gillings School. Any
I guess
others?
also, yeah, sorry. I think also related to that same application, if you can speak on it all, do you know how the recent Supreme Court decisions have impacted the way your school has vetted applicants, especially since it seems like you're getting a lot of like straight from undergrad? So maybe, I'm wondering like how that has impacted at all.
So we were already getting individuals straight from undergrad prior to the Supreme Court decision, so it didn't really necessarily have an impact on the overall applications themselves. Really, at its core, all the Supreme Court decision did was take out the use of race within rendering admissions decisions. Other than that, everything else is pretty much for the most part the status quo. We have rubrics in place, and students are graded against the rubric, and then from there, decisions rendered, and the process moves forward from there. But that's really all the Supreme Court decision did currently at this time. Is just more so take out the use of race. So whenever you all apply, we don't know what race individuals are upon receiving the application. We just see a name, we just see your credentials, and then they judge them against the rubrics that have been put in place. It has made things a little bit different because we've had to adjust the wording of some of our either admissions prompts or some of the wording that's used when it comes to evaluating a student, an application. But other than that, it's pretty much all it really changed for us on this end. And it doesn't really have an impact on students coming in straight from undergrad.
So are there any other like DEI initiatives in place outside of like student clubs at all to kind of foster that diversity and equity and inclusion on campus?
So we're very intentional in the way we go about recruiting to help move the needle when it comes to improving diversity, because that's one thing that we believe in here in Gillings, that having a diverse student body population contributes to a greater learning experience and environment, to being able to learn from others that are different from you. Hence why I kind of brought up, we are represented by 48 different countries within the Gillings School as a whole. But yes, we're still doing intentional recruitment efforts to improve diversity. As of last weekend, we were at North Carolina A&T doing a presentation similar to this with other students from diverse backgrounds as well. So we're more than welcome to present in these type of opportunities. It does get a little sticky what we can and can't say. For example, within the essay, we can't prompt you to disclose anything necessarily about you, any attributes, characteristics, or anything like that. That's kind of a result of the Supreme Court decision. But I can encourage you to tell us your why. I can encourage you to tell us your story. Tell us why the degree, what makes this, the place for you to be. What are you looking to do moving forward once you completed this degree? We can ask those type of questions, but questions saying or stating like, oh, we want to know how you contribute to diversity, those are no longer going to be on there. But if you are more than welcome to discuss how you want to impact those things, we just can't prompt you.
And then I just had last two questions. I don't know if you can speak to the first one. It might be kind of program specific. You were mentioning the funding that PIs get. So that's coming from the school or anything. Like, have you ever run into an issue where a lab has run out of funding and so students had to kind of like change who they're working with? And then also lastly, why did you personally choose UNC?
Absolutely. To answer your first question, I've not personally seen it yet, but I've also have limited experience. So that would probably be more of a departmental question that you could ask, because I honestly I just don't know, and nor have I seen it yet. So
yeah, and I'll just chime in from an alum perspective. Just going back to Cornelius's first slide of the nearly $1 billion of funding, it is not going to be the case where you are left standing in the cold. There is a lot of money at UNC Gillings School of Public Health. And in the rare event that something happened, if you were pursuing a PhD and working closely with a faculty member and something happened with them, I have no doubt that you would easily be transitioned to the next nearest PI. That would, yeah.
Yeah. And we also, to kind of go double down on that, we also encourage students to pursue other opportunities for funding outside of Gillings as well, just to kind of just give you that extra cushion, should you need it and or if you want it, you're more than welcome to have outside funding resources as well. But I to go back to her point, I don't foresee that happening. That'd be kind of crazy if it did happen, but if it did happen, we do have measures in place to be able to transition you to the next professor, with the funding included. To your second question on why I chose UNC. So I'm originally born and raised in Gastonia, North Carolina. I attended Western Carolina University for both my undergrad and grad degrees. I chose to now work at UNC because I wanted to come back to my home state. Previous 2 years I've spent in New Orleans, Louisiana, one being a former director of admissions and recruitment, another one working in the higher ed tech space for a company called EAB, which you may or may not have heard of them, but they're pretty big. But I wanted to come back to work in my home state and work for UNC. And when this opportunity came available, I felt for where I am at in my career and what the meaning behind Gillings is and the focus on serving others and being global as local, that really spoke to me in my own personal missions because I see a lot of the individuals here at UNC, they love to take the knowledge that they've gained and been able to share it with others and kind of grow others around us where collaborating with each other, where, no job is too small or too big for anybody. It's a very blue collar mentality within the space, even though we are the #1, public health school in the country. That's only a byproduct of the hard work that we put in to get to that point. And, it's great that we're #1, but that's not necessarily what we care about. What we care about the most is creating opportunities and experiences that are going to push the next generation of public health individuals forward. And that's what we primarily care about. So it shows up in research, it shows up in funding, it shows up in the support that we put around our students for them to be successful. And it just kind of culminates. And for me, that kind of spoke to my own personal mission as well as who I am as a practitioner within the field of higher education.
Any other questions before we wrap up? We're just about at our 45-minute mark. Well, Cornelius, now did you, I can't remember, it might have been on the prior slide. Did you have your email address on there?
I did not, but I can put it in the chat for everyone if you want to follow up.
There we go. Perfect. Excellent. Well, I just wanted to again, thank you so much for your time. Students, it's a fantastic program. Not that I'm biased, but so seriously consider it in terms of just the rigor of the program, the fact, I know they're ranked #2 in the country for all public and private, but it's not just for that reason. It really is kind of just an extraordinary program for a variety of reasons, but we've profiled other great programs as well. So, but thank you again, Cornelius, and students, if you have questions, definitely reach out to him or feel free to call the admissions office and talk through your questions there directly. All right. Thank you again.
Absolutely. Thank you all. Best of luck and have a great rest of your year.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye, everybody.
Bye. Cornelius, hey.
Yes, ma'am.
It's just
Hey.
us. I'll stop recording. Thank you so much. That was exactly what I was hoping it would be.
Good.
There we go. So it was super comprehensive. You laid out all the departments and all the different degrees, which, that's a lot of information to convey. So excellent job on that. Really appreciate it.
Absolutely. Yeah. Anytime. I mean, it's a great opportunity. I mean, this is primarily one of my responsibilities is, student recruitment. So I do a lot of these often. So
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
not
I
a
can
big deal
imagine.
to put one of these on my calendar. So yeah. So anytime there are more students that want to have a conversation, then they're more than welcome to. We have our drop-in Fridays that are super informal. Like you literally just click a Zoom link and you're having a conversation just like this.
Oh, perfect.
So those opportunities are available on our website. We have specific dates lined up. We have our upcoming, because Davidson's what, 2-3 hours from here ish, give or take? Is this what,
That's-
north
yeah,
of Huntersville?
2.5. Yeah. Yep.
So So yeah, so we have an open house on October 6th that
I
highlights
know,
our
and that's our
master's in
fall
doctoral.
break. That's our fall
So
break. I might put that on, do you guys have that on Handshake as an event? Because if you do, then we can nab it.
I don't believe we have it as an event on Handshake, but I know it's on our website within Gillings. If you go to our visit us
Okay.
page, you'll see a link to register for it.
I'll add it for you guys so that our students can see it. I think it would be a great idea for them to take advantage of their time off from classes and go check it out. So, well,
absolutely.
awesome. Well, thank you again. It's super nice to meet you. I plan on doing this maybe on an annual basis.
Okay.
I'll let you know if it needs to be sooner, but I'm thinking again next fall,
Mhm.
just as a way. I know that seems like very long way away, but I do think it would be great to kind of promote UNC because it is a wonderful program in our state and not far away. So great. Well, thank you
Absolutely.
again.
Well, we appreciate it.
Yeah. All right. Have a great day. Okay.
You as well. Bye-bye.
All right.